Hi, I'm Alan Smith. To me, the garden has always been an enchanting and magical place, full of surprise and potential. Let me give you an example. This beautiful drift of cosmos, only 3 months ago, was little more than a handful of seemingly lifeless seed, and now just look at them. It's because of sensational displays like this that I always recommend that we leave a little extra space in our gardens for colorful annual flowers. With a little expense and effort, you can produce big yields that will bring you a lot of pleasure throughout the season. In today's show, we'll trace the development of annuals from the seed producers to the growers to the retailers that make all of this color available to the public. The first step in our journey takes us to Goldsmith Seed Company in Gilroy, California, where seed developers and plant hybridizers go to great lengths to provide growers with improved varieties of annuals. Next, we stop at Gilroy Nursery to see how these seeds are planted and grown on a massive scale for shipping to your local garden center. And finally, we'll visit Renae Shepherd, whose internet and mail order seed company makes it possible for home gardeners to add beauty like this to their landscapes by planting a simple packet of seeds. So stick around for a colorful show. Nestled along the rolling hills of Central California is a magnificent tapestry of color. These are the trial gardens at Goldsmith Seeds, one of the premier producers of seed for the nursery trade. Joel Goldsmith, company president and son of the founder, gave me a tour and explained the process of developing new varieties of annual flowers. Joel, how long have you all been in business?
Well, we started in business in 1962. My parents started the company, and it's kind of grown from there. Our main production operations are in Guatemala, where we went to in 1966. And then we have production sites also in Kenya. We send the parent lines of the hybrids down to Guatemala, and they increase the parent lines and then cross those to produce the seed that we end up selling. We're trying to develop plants that perform better for the home gardener, for the consumer in their yard, or for the professional grower.
Now, Joel, in this greenhouse, I see an amazing range of geraniums. What's going on in here?
Well, this is the foundation of our geranium breeding program. These are all the various inbred lines. If you take a plant that you have in your garden and you produce seed on that plant alone and don't allow pollen from any other plant to go in there, that becomes an inbred. It's breeding within itself, and the more times you do that, the narrower the gene pool is.
This one with the dark leaf is really attractive to me. Tell me about it.
Well, this is something that's not yet on the market. Strictly a number for the plant breeder at this stage. But what we've got is this characteristic where instead of just having the small zone on the leaf that a normal geranium would have,
right,
the leaf is all dark,
yes,
with a green fringe around the edge.
So the zone has been expanded and darkened.
That's right, and it covers virtually the whole leaf surface area except for the very outside edge.
Yeah, nice effect. The color is really outstanding too. The clear pink contrasted with this almost chocolate brown is really attractive.
We've got the characteristic in the leaf. What we need to get now is all the various colors that are available for geraniums with that leaf habit.
So the goal here is to come up with a range of geraniums with this beautiful leaf, but in a wide range of bloom color.
That's right.
Joel, I understand that Goldsmiths is an all-American selections trial location. How does that fit into the work being done here?
Well, a little background on All-American Selections. They're an independent testing organization founded in the 30s. where new varieties from companies such as ours are submitted every year, grown side by side with the best products of that type that are available in the marketplace, and the very best receive an All-American Selections Award.
Tell me a little bit about what we're seeing in this field. I mean, this isn't all the All-American Selections trial.
No, only a small portion of this represents All-American trial. The majority of what you see behind us is what we refer to as our living catalog. These are all the varieties that we've developed over the years and are offering for sale. But what we're really trying to do is create something memorable that stands out from everybody else's products. These are the fantasy petunias, where I think we did a good job coming up with a name.
Yes.
That creates an image.
Where does Goldsmith, as a seed producer and developer of new annuals, fit in this large industry of annual producers?
Well, we're actually quite a ways away from the consumer. We develop the new varieties and produce the seed, which is the mechanism of transmitting our work along the line. That seed then goes to a seed distributor somewhere in the world. And the majority of that seed is then resold to a professional grower who grows a plant that's going to go in somebody's garden.
Yeah, so that professional grower grows off the plant, ships them off to the garden center, and there's where you see them on a Saturday morning when you're ready to plant them in your own garden.
That's correct.
Yeah. Joel, thanks for taking the time to show me around Goldsmith today. It's really exceptional.
Well, Alan, it's always a pleasure to see you, and good luck in the rest of your travels.
Thank you so much. When we come back, we'll see how some of Goldsmith seeds are grown into bedding plants you can find at your local nursery. Between the development of seed for new annual varieties and the cell packs full of colorful plants you pick up at the garden center, there lies a very important step. Patrick Steffen, the production manager here at Kalahara Nurseries in Morgan Hill, California, shows us how they produce millions of seedlings each year. How does this all start?
Basically, we start with the seed. We fill the plug trays. We'll take this and we'll smooth it like so. Once the excess is cleaned off, we'll feed it in here. This is a dibbler. What this does is it dibbles the soil. There's a photo eye in here that tells it when the tray is in position. Once it's been sown, it is covered in a medium grade vermiculite.
Right. Very lightly.
Very lightly.
And here it comes through. By the way, how many plants are we going to get in this?
In this particular plug tray, there's 512 plants.
Amazing. And as we move across here, the eye will activate, and there's the rain.
There's the rain. Altogether, we probably do about 30 to 40 million seedlings a year.
So once they're watered in, where do they go from here, Patrick?
They go to the germination chamber, Alan.
So inside here, this is just like being underground.
That's correct. It's maintained at 68 degrees constant with 100% humidity. We hold approximately 35 racks in here, which equals to about 1,000 flats at a time.
So Patrick, once they're taken out of the germination chamber, the baby has now emerged, as it were.
Yes.
You bring them into this area.
Right, this is called our plug range, and what we do here is once they come out of the germination chamber, we bring them in here, where we will hold them anywhere from 2-3 weeks to a couple months, depending on the finish time. Once they reach a certain size and they have a certain number of roots on them, then we will take them over to the transplant area.
And this is a very mild climate, as it were.
Yes, the climate in here is computer controlled. The high would be in the high 70s, low 80s, and the low would be 65.
And it looks like you've got a really good shade cloth.
Yes, we have what we call a retractable shade curtain, and this particular shade curtain is broken down into increments of 50%, 40%, and 30%. So as the seedlings mature, they get more light.
These look like impatiens.
Yes, Alan, these are about 2 weeks old, and we get about 98% germination here. The crop over here is a week ahead of this.
Boy, a week makes a big difference.
Yes, it does. You can see the difference In size right here, here's a comparison between the two, and that's only a week apart.
Why do you get such a high germination rate?
Because we buy high quality seed, we look for the best seed available to make sure our customers are happy, make sure we get the numbers that we're anticipating out of a plug tray.
So that's the reason almost every one of these holes is filled with a plant.
That's correct.
So Patrick, what's going on in here? Looks like we're following these impatiens around.
You're right, what we're doing now is we're transplanting impatiens. We have a soil filling machine down there that fills the flats. They're conveyored down to the transplanter. It transplants about 3,500 flats in an 8-hour period. These two people here, what they're doing is they're making sure that all the plants are in their proper place. It's tagged, watered, and loaded onto the cart. It's extremely important that we have everything tagged and barcoded. The tagging is for people to identify what they're purchasing, and the barcoding, of course, is for the retailer, so when they scan it, they get the correct prices. Here is our finishing area. Basically, after they're transplanted, they're put into a greenhouse for about 2 or 3 weeks in order to get them to root and to fill out the pot a little bit. Once they've reached a certain size, we'll bring them out here to acclimate them, to get them into color, and to harden them off, and then we'll ship them to the retailers.
And these are just getting ready to go out.
These are basically ready to go out right now.
Now, of all the annuals you grow, which is the most popular?
The one we're standing in front of, this is called, we call the crown jewel of bedding plants. This is Accent Mix Impatiens by Goldsmith, and it happens to be the best plant we grow.
Well, as the production manager here, you must get great satisfaction from growing such magnificent plants.
Extreme satisfaction. It's a pleasure that you're bringing something into the public's eye that makes them smile, makes them happy, brightens up their daily lives. The popularity of gardening has really grown over the last 5 or 10 years. I think it's America's #1 hobby right now.
Yes, it is.
It's all in the power of the flower.
When we return, we'll meet a woman who's dedicated her career to bringing her customers the finest in annual varieties. When it comes to selecting annuals to grow in your garden, the choices can be overwhelming. So it helps to have an expert in your corner to narrow the field a bit. Renae Shepherd has searched the world over to find the best varieties of annuals for her customers. We toured her garden, which also serves as a proving ground for the seed she sells. Renae, the garden looks beautiful.
Well, thank you. I've picked some flowers to show you.
Gosh, look at them. These are gorgeous.
Well, I just wanted to show you some of the things you can grow from seed. You know, a lot of these cutting and old-fashioned flowers come best from seed, and that's the way to grow them.
You bet. I mean, here's larkspur and bishop's lace and, of course, cosmos. This white cosmos is beautiful. I can't believe the size of the blossom. Is this one of the Sonata series?
Yes, it is. Sonatas are beautiful cosmos because they're bred specially not to get more than 2.5 feet tall.
Yeah.
So they look beautiful in beds and borders, but they have the same beautiful, big, daisy-like flowers as tall ones.
What else do you have in here?
Well, here's another few that are really kind of fun and interesting people like. This is bishop's lace or white lace flower.
Right.
It's called Ammi majus is its Latin name, and for people who love wild Queen Anne's lace, this is a garden form very similar. It grows about 2.5 to 3 feet and has lovely graceful fronds of these pretty umbel flowers.
I see you've got a nigella tucked down in here as well to sort of carry on our white theme.
That's right. We planted white ones, but you know, they also come in blue and soft mulberry rose, and their other name is Love in a Mist.
Now, this is a very old garden plant. I mean, this was popular in the 18th century.
Absolutely. And it self-sows readily, so if you enjoy it, you can have it season after season.
Would be considered a hardy volunteer.
Absolutely, and it has this lovely feathery-like foliage. They're really lovely. I like flowers that you can enjoy in the garden and use indoors.
You know, there really are a lot of annuals out there to choose from beyond just marigolds and petunias. Tell me a little bit about this plant, the Sapelglossus.
Sapoglossus is, I picked this to show you because the colors are so intense. This is a variety we call stained glass for obvious reasons. But they're a flower that is summer blooming, annual, grow from seed, and they have the most intense, rich colors. They make very pretty little vase flowers.
Now these are called painted tongue?
That's right, that's their old-fashioned common name.
Looks like a cross between a petunia and a nasturtium.
I agree, they're really kind of unique, and most people just really enjoy seeing them because there's something that's really different.
Look at this larkspur.
Well, you know, that's interesting. This is a larkspur from France.
Gosh, it's gorgeous.
And the colors are very, very pure and intense, and the stalks of bloom are very, very full of flowers. I really love these.
There's another vining annual, which is a favorite of mine, and you have a wonderful selection. It's the morning glory.
Oh, I love morning glories. I think they have a long, wonderful tradition as real American flowers. As the settlers moved west, they'd always plant a morning glory seed that they carried with them in the spiral of color. Morning glories are great because they bloom late in summer, and they bloom hard in luminous, bright colors long after a lot of other flowers have petered out for the year. And every morning they open. I really agree with you. They're very easy flowers to grow from seed, good for beginners or kids because they grow a couple inches every day almost. Another climber that's similar to morning glories are moonflowers.
Yes.
So you have morning glories that open anew every morning, and
right.
then the moonflowers open.
For the evening.
Yeah, and the moonflowers are very fragrant.
Indeed. You know, Renee, when I plant morning glories, I found that I get the best results when I soak the seed overnight before I plant them.
I've heard that. A lot of good gardeners do that. Either that or take a file and just scratch the seed with it a little bit.
Well, the outer covering of the seed is so hard, you almost need to give it a little help.
I especially did that with this early call morning glory, which is from Japan and has big, very large, soft lavender and rose and pale pink flowers. That portrait that's on our seed packet is actually painted from pictures we take of them in our garden.
If someone wants to get Renee's garden seed, how do they go about this?
Well, our seeds are sold all over the country at good independent garden centers and nurseries. We have our own website, renaesgarden.com.
You know, it must be a lot of fun going out and finding these exceptional examples of garden flowers that people can grow from seed.
It is. It's really very gratifying. I like it a lot, and I really enjoy seeing them in people's gardens.
Well, you're doing a great job. Just keep up the good work.
Well, thank you. It's nice having you in my garden, too.
Well, thanks. It's a pleasure. Coming up next, I'll introduce you to a unique and easy annual I grow in my garden. Throughout the history of this country, certain plants have played important roles. One of the most significant since colonial times is tobacco. Now this is flowering tobacco, a plant I grow in my garden, and it's sometimes referred to as Nicotiana. Now don't confuse this plant with its more controversial cousin. This is a smokeless variety. Now, I grow it for its beautiful flowers, but also for two other good reasons. The first is if you're like me, you're on the run and really can't enjoy your garden until the evening. Well, that's when this plant is at its best, when the sun begins to go down or on a cloudy day like today. This is the time when its flowers begin to open and release a sweet-smelling aroma. At the end of a long day, it's nice to walk past such fragrant flowers, but as much as I'd like to think they're doing all of this for me, they're actually trying to attract night-flying insects for pollination. The other reason I enjoy this plant so much is illustrated here. Even though it's an annual, it generously reseeds itself. For example, I didn't plant these. They've just come up all by themselves. After the flowers fade, they'll be followed by seed pods. In each of these, there are hundreds of these tiny brown seeds. If you allow them to fall to the ground and germinate, they'll come up everywhere. But make sure you recognize the seedlings so you don't pull them up as weeds. If you're looking for a hardy volunteer and a fragrant flower for your garden, you might give Nicotiana or flowering tobacco a try. Well, my garden's certainly going to be more colorful after this little visit to the garden center. You know, we've seen how adding just a few annuals can bring excitement and color to any garden. So the next time you're thinking about giving your garden a little extra pizzazz, you might consider adding some annuals. There's no easier or better way to add a splash of color. From the garden, I'm Alan Smith.
In this garden I dream of a bed of flowers. Bluebirds sing of the beauty all around us. And every time the sun comes out, I can't help but smile. Oh, no, I can't help but smile.